stream is starting, and we're live with the stream. 3, 2.
Boom.
It's Sunday, July 1st, 2018, Jones and Holmes show.
Hey,
and I don't remember.
I didn't hear the audio.
Uh-oh. You're not hearing that?
No, the music. I never heard it.
Oh. All right, the stream is started. I think it started. And let's hit it off.
Warning. What you're about to listen to may not be politically correct.
William Jones, Adam Holmes. You're listening to the Jones and Holmes Show.
It's Sunday, July 1st, 2018. Jones and Holmes Show. William Jones, Adam Holmes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what episode this is.
22, maybe?
It might be.
Man, it's crazy. It's July already.
I know. That is pretty wild. Feels like we just had June. We tried doing one Thursday, but it didn't work out. Had all sorts of technical problems. Skype problem. The new Skype killed us. So we downgraded, went backwards, and now things are working again. But you've had a really interesting last couple days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Had a lot going on. Did some dyno tuning on a I guess it would be like an extreme wing outlaw asphalt race car. And we ended up last night we were going to do a podcast, but I ended up going to the track and turned out good because the car that we dyno tuned ended up winning the feature. So that was cool.
Yeah. So what was it that what kind of car were you working on?
It's if you pull it up on Google,
look this up.
Look up extreme wing, look up figure 8 car. You can pull up a picture of one.
Yeah.
Yep. Just like that.
So that's pretty cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do they have any video?
Turned out pretty good. What's that?
Do they have video from last night, you think, up already?
I don't know. You can look up like Sportstrom Speedway.
Here's some video real quick.
Yeah. Oh, that's the track. That's where I was at.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So I wonder if we look up Sportstrom Speedway. Let's see if we got anything real recent.
The one that's playing is perfect.
This is pretty wild.
Yeah. I'll turn it down a little bit, but if you kind of fast forward ahead a little bit to where they actually start doing the figure 8, and you'll see, I mean, how crazy it is when these cars kind of, because they literally drive through an intersection with each other. Right? And you'll see they go through this intersection at like 80 miles an hour, just narrowly missing each other. Let's see.
Seems like it's when are they gonna
Get a little further ahead. Let's see.
Let's see. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. It gets crazy.
Wow, I've never seen anything like that. It's like a figure 8 race.
And I mean, they're full tilt boogie 80 mile an hour through that intersection. And those guys are just good at timing it perfectly. And just going through there.
Wow. So
but not always. Sometimes they do clip each other though.
And if it had any like just straight on T-bone.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder, let's see. This is, they make you sign in. So, yeah, I wonder, let's see if it'll let us go.
It's time for the Amber and Figure Eights!
Now these cars here, these aren't the caliber of like what we were doing last night, but these are similar. These cars are more like demolition derby cars here.
These are pretty wild looking.
Yeah, these are like almost like demolition derby cars with these guys here. These guys, they try to beat and bang on each other. Now, like, the extreme wing stuff, like that we were doing last night, that stuff is very, like they're on a parade lap. They haven't even started the race yet.
All right, here we go.
There you go.
So they're like on purpose pushing each other around.
Yeah, these guys. Yeah, this is more like a demolition derby you're watching here.
Oh, okay. They're moving along though.
Yeah, they're not going slow. They're going pretty quick. But yeah, see how this guy's like dressed up like a police car? This is kind of, you know, this is more like demolition derby.
Yeah.
Then you get into the more serious, high classes of racing type of stuff.
This, wow, look at this.
This looks intense. There's like no rules at all to that.
All right.
Yeah, school bus figure eights. That used to be a popular thing.
School bus figure eights.
Yeah.
Now, reaching the halfway point, and it is Mike Berry in the number 51.
What a wild looking thing.
Yeah.
Behind the unmarked bus of Mike Gibson. So perhaps could have a lap down.
Wow.
Murphy currently running in
Well,
second.
this has been an education.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't just do the figure eight though at the track we were at. They I mean they do regular oval racing, which, you know, is just looks like NASCAR basically.
Right.
But just like the lower levels of, you know, circle track racing. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. So it was good to see the car we tuned on the dyno at our shop taking a win.
Yeah,
So
well,
that was pretty good.
That's the coolest thing. Is it the one that you worked on won?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, that's a wild thing. Like, everybody goes to those races to see the crashes. That is the scariest thing, man, to crash one of those cars.
Right.
I mean, because people just don't realize. I mean, you're going 80 mile an hour. Could you imagine T-boning somebody 80 miles an hour
Right.
in an intersection? And, I mean, you're all strapped in, and you got a fuel cell back there. And, I mean, that car flips over. They're not easy to get out. It's not like a regular car where you have lots of room to move around. I mean, it's a very tight little, you know, space that you have to move in there. It's only about 15 to 18 inches wide, so that you can actually sit in.
What are they running? Or what are they running? What kind of fuel? Just gas?
Race fuel. The ones in like the demolition derby type stuff, they're just running, you know, whatever gas. But the guys that are actually serious racing cars, they're running, you know, 120 octane race fuel.
Right.
Smells good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Man, this week has been interesting politically. We have the absolute biggest news is that we have Justice Kennedy retiring. And let's see, what should we start with? Let me see what I have here. We have Kennedy
ain't no
retiring.
way to sugarcoat this.
All right, this is good. So Kennedy's retiring. Kennedy was nominated by Reagan.
Yeah.
And started off as a, he was a conservative, but he ended up becoming a swing vote. And he seems to lean more with the liberals.
Yeah. Didn't he have he had a big thing with the gay agenda stuff?
He was the swing vote that decided gay marriage.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's always been kind of this critical swing vote for the liberals. So they've kept, a pretty good 5-4 court. I've always seen it as a 5-4 court toward the liberal side. A lot of people say, oh, it's been 5-4 towards conservatives. And I don't see that, because on social issues, he always swings with the liberals. So, or usually does. So you have 9 Supreme Court justices. You have 4 outright liberals. You have 4 outright conservatives, except for when John Roberts sided with the liberals to keep Obamacare.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of interesting. So, but anyway, so Kennedy is he announced he's going to retire, which means that Trump can nominate and will nominate a new Supreme Court judge. And there's no rules as to how many. You can have as many as you want. That's something interesting that people don't realize. The number of the justices change. And I want to say it's kind of settled on 9, but let me see. Here's 7 things you might not know about the Supreme Court. Somewhere in here. Here it is. There's been 1789, they had 6. 1807, they had 7. 1837, they had 9. 1863, they had 10. 1869, in 1866 they backed it back down to 7, then pushed it back to 10 or back to 9, and then in 1937 Roosevelt was trying to attempt to convince Congress to pass new legislation which would allow a new justice to be added to the court for up to 15 members. But they didn't go for it. So, there's no. This is also what's kind of interesting. No official qualifications for being a Supreme Court justice. You don't have to be an attorney or something. You just be pretty much whoever. The youngest, look at that. The youngest ever justice was Joseph Story, 32 years old.
Wow. 1811.
Yep.
There was a Holmes in there.
Yeah. Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. He was
1902 to 32.
90 at age of retirement.
Mm-hmm.
They're appointed for life, but they can be impeached. And William Howard Taft, didn't he serve in all 3 branches of government?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I think he was the only president that did.
And because he was on the Supreme Court. This says he was the only person that served as president and on the court. But I thought that...
Look at that. Washington appointed the most justices. 11 appointments.
Yeah, it was all brand new.
Yep.
10,000 annual requests to review cases. But they hear about 80 a year. So let's see how the best part is the liberals' reaction to the quasi-conservative, mostly liberal Justice Kennedy, who's retiring.
There ain't no way to sugarcoat this. Today, Justice Anthony Kennedy announced he's retiring from the Supreme Court.
The only swing vote on the Supreme Court is gone. Who cares about anything anymore? I'm going crazy, people.
Next 30 years.
We're looking at a destruction of the Constitution of the United States, as far as I can tell.
They've not allowed somebody to come into the Supreme Court for 30 years. For 30 years, because they won by 1 vote. It's not going to be acceptable.
And Roe v. Wade is doomed. It is gone. And it's not just abortion. It's eliminating affirmative action. It's eliminating even the possibility of any sort of gun control, allowing a greater use of the death penalty.
You are not a straight white male in America right now. You are probably freaking out.
I think it's going to be almost like Spanish Civil War stuff. You watch.
Get out of my behind. Get out of my vagina. Get out.
Against the reality of the math in the Senate here in a little bit.
If you lay down like the experts are saying, and lay down and accept this as history that can't be stopped, you're going to see a political party in serious implosion.
What should Senate Democrats do?
They have to raise hell. That it is time for you guys to get mean and fight. Are you ready?
Yes. I think the Democrats have to say, no way, non passario, no one passes this line.
And it will be unforgivable if Democrats roll on this.
If they allow this to proceed, they're going to look stupid, they're going to look weak, and they're going to be overthrown.
In some ways, it feels like all hope is dead, and nothing can bring it back.
We are hearing from the president on this issue, and I do want to listen to his comments.
He's not going to decide this thing.
We are living in great times.
Yeah.
Oh, look.
Regret this, and you may regret it a lot sooner than you think.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know. What was that? So, yeah, we have. It is so interesting to see how they're reacting. Now, here's the senators reacting to Kennedy's retirement to see what they're going to do. Mitch McConnell, your senator.
Yep.
He's the Senate Majority Leader, so he's the one who's going to bring this to a vote. Who Trump hasn't nominated? He said he's going to nominate someone. When did he say?
I thought they said was it the end of July or by the middle of July or something?
He says he's going to pick someone on July 9th. He's going to announce who it's going to be. The list, let's see. Trump said they have it down to 5 candidates. So I'm wondering who that might end up being. Oh, they're saying that one person on the list of names. Well, he had 20 names during 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And Gorsuch is off of that list of names. So he's down to 19. So even including people like Senator Mike Lee was on the list. So I'm wondering who they're going to end up picking.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
It will be. Gorsuch was a good pick.
Just looking at like the way Trump's kind of done everything, it's probably not going to be anyone that anyone's suspecting.
Right, that's possible. Well, that's why they didn't think when Gorsuch's name was on the other list, no one thought he'd pick Gorsuch.
Right.
Even though it was on the name, because Gorsuch is very conservative, very and almost libertarian in some senses. So they didn't think that Trump would pick that. I remember that was a big thing. Glenn Beck was like completely shocked.
Yeah.
He was just shocked that he picked Gorsuch. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what the senator's reaction is. This is a couple days ago, NBC News.
First and foremost, I want to pause and express our gratitude for the extraordinary service that Justice Kennedy has offered our nation. He served on the federal bench for 43 years. It's imperative that the president's nominee be considered fairly and not subjected to personal attacks.
And I happen to be a big fan of Justice Kennedy. We're good friends. We've had a lot to do together. I supported him rather strongly when he came up for his position, and I think he's been a great justice. So whoever replaces him better be pretty darn good, is all I can say.
My ideal, man or woman, is a cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
What I most liked about Justice Kennedy is he did not identify with any ideological block on the court, but rather was a justice who evaluated every case not ideologically, but based on its merits and adherence to the law and the Constitution.
The president should take the time that's necessary, and it will be more than a month or two, to nominate someone who is open-minded and fair, a jurist who has a track record in the mold of Justice Kennedy.
Is there any Trump nominee that you would support? Look, I'd love to see someone in the Gorsuch mentality. I mean, he's proven to be a real driving force and has been real involved in the opinions that have been yielded. So look, I'd love to see another nominee of that ilk.
I want somebody whip smart. I want a lawyer's lawyer. I want the type of lawyer that people will look at and go, "No, that's a real lawyer." I don't want a hater.
It is Why does he keep saying lawyer?
We have individuals on that court who reflect the values and the ideals of who we are as a country, and who prioritize that all of us are equal under the law, and that fairness will be the
I love how the Democrats always say equal,
and,
fair, equal.
Kennedy leaving opens up a position on the court. And I have real concerns about this president's ability to fill that position with someone who would reflect the ideals of who we are as a country.
This is probably going to be a bare knuckle, down in the dirt, scratching, biting, ear pulling political fight.
So what's your who do you think they're good at? The Democrats? I'm thinking this because I saw Kamala Harris. I think that's who they're going to run in 2020. Well, they'll run Hillary.
I think Hillary is just a lost cause.
Nah, she'll run. She has so much. I don't know if they even want her to run, but I think she'll run.
Oh, you mean you think would the Democrats pick would be?
Yeah.
It'd probably be like somebody like Kamala Harris.
It seems like who it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
So it could be a Trump-Kamala Harris fight.
Right. She's kind of dark. She's a woman. She's from California. Yeah.
Meets all the requirements. Sounds like a president.
Right. Yeah. Black and a woman.
There you go.
See, that was the only thing Hillary didn't have going for her. She wasn't black.
Yeah. What do you think the difference would have been if she was?
Oh, she would have won.
Because that turnout would have been there, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Like it was with Obama.
See, I'm wondering if that's what's going to happen in Georgia.
But see, here's the thing, though. I'm still with the second Obama, when Obama got elected the second time, that race got called so early. I still can't get over it because it was I don't even think it was 10 o'clock yet on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So it's like they just called every West Coast state basically.
Yeah. Well, I
for
think
Obama.
It was just too. With Obama, you have the perfect candidate just about in Obama. And I think the Democrats, the Democrats are going to remember that, especially after this last one, because they know if they ran an Obama against Trump, that Obama probably would have won, right? Or an Obama. So if you have Kamala Harris, who's like another Obama, a woman version of Obama, I think they see that as the golden ticket.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how we have completely different views of the country.
Oh, I know.
Two completely different views, just the way we look at everything.
It is so weird, when you think about it. I'll tell you what, though. I mean, I like Steve Rinella, who's an author, and he also has the TV show Meat Eater. He's a hunter, and I heard somebody ask him oh, who are you voting for president during the 2016 election? And he said he's like, I can't vote a Republican because Republicans just want to sell off all the public land. He's like, and that's where I like to hunt. He said I can't vote Democrat because they want to take away the guns. Right. He's like, it's just two teams. So who do I pick from? There's only two teams to pick from.
Yep.
The two-team mentality does not work.
No. And that's what's sad is it's just kind of maybe that's the one downfall of a republic.
Well, I don't think a republic has to have two teams, though.
It doesn't have to, but it seems like it just falls into that system.
Yeah.
What
if we had 8 different, parties?
Right. Well, we'd have to have some sort of like constitutional mandate.
Right.
We're going to have 8 parties constitutionally mandated. And here they are. And then that would even divide itself into 2 teams because they'd get 4-on-4 or whatever. they'd end up, creating alliances.
Yeah.
But
the funny thing is, the more people I talk to, the more people I'm meeting that are more like, libertarian minded.
Yeah.
People that just kind of don't want to, like, I think people are sick of the teams.
I think a lot of people like.
Oh yeah,
like
there's a lot of people that like them.
But a lot of people like being able to do what they want to do.
Right.
And it's like, hey, you can do whatever you want to do. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, that seems to be the trend. Is like a lot of people are like, I don't care what you do as long as you don't bug me.
And so then they have to realize that, like Democrats, that's like the opposite of their opinion. It's always they're always worried about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Right. They're always worried about legislating safety, legislating fairness and equality. But here's the reality: is the world's not fair.
Yep.
When a lion goes out there to prey on food, it's not going to just let me fairly pick from all the gazelle out here.
Right.
Let me go out here. Let me go after the gazelle or the impala. That's the weaker one. Let me go after the old one or the young one.
Right.
Well, you got to have that killer mentality if you want, like, this whole, like, the ideas of having, I mean, you think about it. When you have 2 companies competing, who wins? The consumers are going to win.
Yeah.
You have 2 businesses that both sell the same product. The one with the lower prices with the best service is going to pay off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's funny. It is just funny how, we have this great division. We do have these 2 teams and they're always fighting back and forth. But when you talk to people, they do want pretty much liberty. They want to be left alone and leave others alone. But yet they always end up siding with one team or the other. But I will say this. I still believe, I really believe that the people who side with the liberals and that team is way more dangerous than the conservatives.
Yeah, because when you try to legislate fairness and equality into everything, it ruins it for anybody that's out there trying to be successful. Here, I'll give you a perfect example. I follow NASCAR, and if you look at NASCAR racing, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, NASCAR was, it was a good old boys kind of sport. It started in the South, started with the moonshiners and the whiskey runners, and they're just souping up their cars back in the, in the 40s, trying to just, bootleg liquor. And so what they did was, to beat the cops, they'd take their old, Ford, Model A's and whatnot, and they'd take those old cars and, whatever the car of the time was, and they got in the garage and they were like, hey, if I grind this, this casting mark out of this intake, it make the motor a little quicker. If I lighten this flywheel up, it'll rev a little faster. It starts doing this stuff and it becomes a sport. So over time, it got to where the bootleggers were competing to see whose car was the fastest. Turned into a sport. It was great. And the whole thing about NASCAR was, you had guys back in the day that were kind of the pioneers, guys like Junior Johnson, who, this guy, after the race, he's back in his garage all weekend long, working hard, trying to figure out, what can I do to make my car a little quicker? What can I do to get that upper edge? And he's putting in the time, putting in the work to make his car better. Well, then one day, all of a sudden, NASCAR goes, well, we got to make this fair. Because this isn't fair, Junior, because you're winning everything. Because Junior took the time to learn, about that engine and what it took to make that thing run quick. So NASCAR said, well, now you got to abide by our rules. Right. You can't do that anymore. You can't work hard anymore to try to outdo. And NASCAR, it's slowly become what we have today with the cars. I mean, the cars are so equal. I mean, they're basically, every car out there is basically running the same engine, the same suspension, the same everything, because everybody has to have, it has to be fair. It has to, and I mean, so it's become a little more of a driver's game, but I appreciated the fact the guy that was in the garage late nights trying to figure out a trick, you know, to have that upper hand. Ralph Earnhardt, who was the late Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s father, there was an old story that he figured out that a Craftsman screwdriver, you could cut the blade portion off of the screwdriver, and you could use it as one of the keepers in the rear axle to hold the rear axle together, and it was stronger than the factory piece of steel that was put in there. And so because what was happening was the guys were making so much power, they were twisting the rear ends out of the cars. So he found that you could stick that piece of that screwdriver in there, and it would hold the rear end together.
Huh.
So he went to the local hardware store and he bought all the screwdrivers that size, because he didn't want anybody else to get that upper hand. And so he bought every screwdriver around. You know, and you're talking small town America at the time. And and so all the guys would go, "Oh, Ralph, you got all the, your rear ends are holding up because you got all the screwdrivers." Hey, he figured that out, and then he did what he had to do to make sure he had that advantage.
Yeah.
That's competition. That's working hard to get ahead. And that's what it comes down to. Work hard to get ahead. Stop worrying about everything being equal and fair. If you work hard, you'll get ahead.
Right. Yep.
This whole idea of, whether it's white male privilege or, that the rich kid has it better, the rich kid might have a nicer house to go into at the end of the day. But you know what? The poor kid can have it too if he works hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the fairness and equality. It's equality of outcome. You can't have a free society and a capitalist system and an ability to make wealth if you don't have the losers.
Well, I love how the socialists argue against the capitalist system, which all these systems have some sort of flaw somewhere in them. But I'm telling you what, the socialist system is, in my opinion, much more flawed than a capitalist system. I'd much rather live in a capitalist system than a socialist one.
Yeah.
In a socialist system, no one gets ahead except for the government.
Yep. Yep, that's true. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
And I love how, especially the pinko commies, they always want to say, well, it just hasn't been done right. We haven't done it in America. We can make socialism work. Well, hold on. How many different countries out there have socialist governments? And how many of them work?
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And it's also, one thing is when they talk about Europe, then a lot of people want us to be more like Europe, and there's Northern European countries that are so huge with all different types of people and states with their own governments and their own laws and their own ways of life and culture. And like, you come down to the South and we want to have the freedom to carry a gun.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go where you don't want the freedom, then you move to New Jersey or Connecticut or one of those states. If you don't like guns, go there. There's a place for you. And even though that's wrong constitutionally,
right.
But you can't just take and say, well, we should be like Northern Europe, one of those European socialist countries, when we have this culture of being Americans. We came over here, we expanded west, we conquered, we took over, we created, built this country. Just a bunch of, people escaping Europe and Europe's oppression. We come here, we build this country, and we've just had this lifeblood of liberty flowing through our veins. that's something that doesn't just come out of us. We don't just suddenly turn into these mushy brain people who are all.
The thing I can't figure out is just like, I really don't know where it comes, that thought and the idea that it's wrong to get ahead. Like that's one that I just can't figure out, is that, we hate the rich guy.
They feel like it's unfair. Yeah, it's unfair and wrong to get ahead.
Yeah. But I want to go out there. I want to work hard to get ahead. That's my thing. It's like, I don't want everyone to live in poverty just because I don't like the fact that my neighbor or whoever is, has it better off than me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's, yeah. I mean, that's the American way. It's just this work. You want more, you can work hard, and there's nothing getting in your way. Well, there's things getting in your way. You have to figure out how to overcome it.
Right. Exactly. I'll tell you what gets in your way is the government.
The government gets in your way. Well,
the government gets in your way.
You look at like what I'm doing with buying real estate, trying to buy some rental properties. And if I think back like years ago, before the Dodd-Frank Act, they had mortgages, these home path mortgages, which were 5% down mortgages. And they were doing a lot of stuff was no doc loans. So they just look at your credit. You had a good credit score. You had a good idea of what you're going to do with the property. You had 5%. You could pick up a house.
Right.
It was just like that. You just bought the house. Now, it's even for the small investor on small loans, because of the Dodd-Frank Act, the amount of paperwork and checks and all these things that go into just buying an investment property, being able to take the chance, to try to buy an investment property. It's usually a minimum of 20% down, 25% down, all sorts of, income requirements and different things, and debt to income ratios and all sorts of things. You have to make sure you have all these things, like your I's dotted and your T's crossed, or you're not going to get a loan. And it becomes easier where for the entrepreneur, self-employed person, especially, they won't even count. They look at your income after all your deductions have been taken out. It's things like mileage deductions. You can drive 10,000 miles a year. You're going to get a $5,300 mileage deduction. If you're someone who drives a lot, like I drive 40,000 miles. So I get like a $20,000 mileage deduction.
Right.
In a year. Well, I didn't spend $20,000 in gas, tires, and repairs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't spend that, but that's what they'll allot me to take. So, but when the bank looks at, because of a lot of it really comes down to how the government makes them look at things. They can't look at it and say, hey, we know you took this $20,000 mileage deduction, but it didn't really cost you $20,000. It's like a paper deduction.
Right.
They can't look at it like that. They have to look at it like it actually costs you $20,000. So your income's after that. And it's made it a lot more difficult. And it is. The only thing that gets in our way is government regulation.
Yeah. I don't understand. Who wouldn't want just the government out of your life and the ideas of freedom, the ideas of leaving us alone to live as we choose to live? I mean, we have the Constitution. It says that every man, woman, and child that's an American citizen has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It doesn't say you're going to be successful at that pursuit, but it says you have the right to make that pursuit.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. And I think the argument is, but who's going to watch us and help us and protect us, and who's going to, and that's kind of the thing. Now, one of the arguments I've noticed that liberals use now is if you say that you don't take any government assistance, then the argument is, well, when you drive your car, you drive on a road, don't you? A paved road that's nice and smooth. Well, that's the government doing it. So you took some government assistance.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example. I live on a private road. So the city, our tax dollars don't go to taking care of the road that I live on. So, what we did as a group of people, we made the choice as the people that live on this road, we put some money into a pot every year. And if the road needs some repairs, we just pay for it. We just take care of it. And it works. We don't need government intervention.
And think about it this way. Something like where I live out in the county,
Mm-hmm.
I have a road. Do I get sewer, public sewer and water? Nope.
Right.
So what do I get? What am I paying? What do my taxpayer dollars go to?
Schools.
Right.
That your kids don't go to.
I don't even have children. And when I do, I'm going to homeschool them. So my kids aren't going to go. So all the taxpayer dollars are going towards social projects, government projects, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So it is this form of socialism. Let's make the county nice for everybody. So we're going to take money from you. So you're never going to actually own your land. You're never going to own your property. It's just, you just lease it from the government, which is what you actually do. You don't own anything.
And here's the crazy thing is they try to say, oh, well, your tax dollars go to the fire department. Well, yeah, if your house catches on fire and the fire department comes and puts it out, guess what? You get a bill.
Yeah.
So what am I paying for?
Yeah, it's amazing how this country, we functioned for the first 100 years without an income tax. 150 years, no income tax.
How about this? EMS is a function of the government, but if you called an ambulance, you ever price out an ambulance ride?
Yeah, it's like
ain't cheap.
It's like $600.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's a government function.
And this is just saying the government, man, I really, I don't know. Like I like having roads, but property taxes and all these things, when so much of the property taxes that are coming in especially with smaller counties or different places, how much of it is it just sustaining a lot of jobs, a lot of mundane jobs and a lot of just sustaining bureaucracy?
I bet if we went and cleaned out every no-show job in the government, it would cut government spending down by, God only knows how much.
Yeah, you could definitely cut spending, but the numbers just don't make sense a lot of times when you look at how much it actually cost. Like, remember when we were looking at the FBI budget?
Yeah,
it was like $7 billion.
Yeah, it's crazy.
More. Just the budgets of these things are nuts. It's
just, but like that goes back to what we talked about before. We say that number $7 billion. The average person does not realize how much money that is.
Right. It's just an unbelievable amount of money.
Yeah.
It's you take $100 million 70 times over.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yep.
Why aren't we jumping on the government? They're the rich. Well, they're not rich. The government is how many trillions of dollars in debt. Man. And they're just bleeding money that we don't have, at a ridiculous rate. If anybody's listening, go out there, look at the debt, look online, look up the U.S. national debt clock.
Yeah, let's see what it is right now. Debt clock. 21 trillion.
Yeah.
Now this is 21 trillion dollars in debt. That's every citizen of the United States owes $64,583. Every actual taxpayer owes $174,000.
Mm-hmm. And look, it's just going nonstop. Look at the numbers, just rolling.
Man, look over here at the debt here where it says state debt, right? Municipal employees. So in this 19,444,000 state and local government employees. That's a lot.
Yeah. Now, remember when we brought up the whole thing about, instead of saying dollars, say how many seconds, using the terminology of seconds, so if you think about it, 1 billion seconds, that's 31 and a half years.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell people that and they go, huh? Really? It's like, yeah, 1 billion seconds is 31 and a half years. Now times that by 7.
Look at this number. The U.S. population right now, we're just about to tick over into 328 million.
Mm-hmm.
The total workforce right now is 155 million.
Whew.
Right? So that's the total workforce. The official unemployed number is 6 million, which is kind of a joke. But look at this here. So you have private sector jobs, 123,000. Full-time workers, 128,000. Part-time workers, 128 million. Part-time workers, 26 million. Look at the number of self-employed.
9 million.
That's it. There's like 9 million of us.
Out of 327,000.
Million. 327 million.
Or yes, million. Yeah.
Keep reading that. We keep reading this number wrong. But think about that, man. Like I talked to Sarah about that different times. Like we look, the majority of people that we meet work for someone.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
it's rare to meet someone that actually runs their own business.
Right. Like I just don't even, like, sometimes I forget how fortunate, because I and it's not just being fortunate. It's like I work. I have to do it, you know, myself. I've created a way where I don't work for anybody. I'm self-employed, and I'm able to, you know, like, I just think about, like, on a Monday, last Monday, we're cutting boards, you know, cutting slabs of wood into boards and building a fence and working on our property and taking care. I'm like, who gets to do this? Just if I want to just, you know, it's really cool. It's a good quality of life.
Yeah. And I think the number of government employees just went up by 1.
Oh, they hired someone on a Sunday.
It was 23,744,266. It just went to 267.
There you go.
Who's getting hired on a Sunday?
Everybody. I think it's just an average calculator.
Yeah.
Everybody should. Now, this is the numbers that get a little screwy. Is median income, household income, 31,996. And the median new home price, 328,000. That's not good.
No.
When your new home price is that much, but your income's 30,000 and you're paying 320 for a house.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
Well, I was looking the other day, like in Louisville, commercial properties in Louisville. You know, on a 1/4 acre lot, there was a building that I believe was like 1,800 square feet on a 1/4 acre lot. It was $628,000. And I was like, that's in Louisville.
Yep.
I can't imagine what something like that in New York would go for.
Man.
That is crazy.
It is. It is crazy. 401k or stocks or whatever you're doing, putting into a savings account. It doesn't take a whole lot, especially if you're working for someone. It's a lot easier to get a mortgage, to find a local bank that you can work with, find, you know, some local real estate that the numbers work, you know, get a good cash on cash return and start investing to have that passive income. And, you know, eventually you can get enough passive income and quit, and then you don't have to work for someone anymore.
Right.
Do it on your own. But yeah, it's crazy, man. Like, just these numbers just keep on going. There's total mortgage debt in the United States. I'm trying to figure out what that number is.
Where's it at?
15 trillion in total mortgage debt.
Yeah, that's crazy. You know, the one thing I was thinking about was, you know, because, well, the whole thing out there is that our money is supposed to be backed by gold, you know, whether it's stored in Fort Knox or wherever.
But it's not.
But it's not.
It's an IOU. It's a debt.
Well, think about this. People that don't have actual hard metal coinage, if you think about it, if you don't have like actual silver, gold, whatever, you're actually looking at the fact that your money is nothing more than a number in a computer system.
Right.
You know, I mean, do you really think a bank has 20 million in cash just sitting in there? Probably not.
Oh, they don't. They only have so much.
Right. If you were a millionaire and you went to a bank and you tried to withdraw your entire, your entire account, they probably couldn't do it.
No, and that's what you got to think about. You know, if you have a bunch of money, just cash in a bank account, like what is it doing? What is it?
If the bank, like say the bank messes up something with your account and they have to give you a refund, that's just somebody changing some numbers in a computer somewhere. They're not actually going in your personal account going, all right, let's count this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. They're just going on a computer and they're going, oh, let's say he had $32,555 in there and something happened and we got to refund him some money for whatever reason. All they do is just verify the transaction and they go in there and they re-enter that number.
Yep.
There's no actual hard money. That's why I like the barter system.
And this is why for me, it's like, I'm going to take that digital number and instead of investing in a digital number and having my money sit as a digital number, like I'm going to turn it into real estate. Like
exactly.
That's
you
tangible.
Actually have some assets there.
There's something that's tangible
and
never going away. So, yep, but a lot of people just don't look at it like that. And they look at things like I don't know. I just look at money so differently. It's just a tool, and you're just using it to gain some leverage. You want to put it to work. You want to make that money actually do work. So, and you can have $10,000 sitting in a bank account that every year after year it's worth $10,000, or you can take that and pick up some sort of an investment property that you could cash flow. You could generate $5,000 a year. In $5,000 a year in profit.
Right.
So what would you rather have? You give up your $10,000 for an asset, for a chunk of real estate that you can generate $5,000 a year off of, forever. Forever.
Or it just sits in there and collects very little interest.
Right. It's collecting, 0.5% or whatever of interest and just sits there, and it depreciates over time. So it's just depreciated. Inflation's just killing it. So it's worth less and less and less over time. Whereas the rents I can increase and increase and increase over time.
Right.
So I can.
Oh, you know what was interesting? Man, I did this back a while ago. Was I looked at like the rate of inflation, and then I looked at the money I was putting away for a retirement. And at the rate of inflation, if it stayed steady, which it doesn't stay steady, but if it had, where I was putting away enough to where when I was 65, I think it was going to have, with what I was set up at the time, it was like $265,000 by the time I was 65.
Right.
But at the rate of inflation, that 265 would in reality maybe be worth like 100,000.
Right. And think about it this way, that 265 being worth only 100,000, you hit the point, you retire, right? And now you got $100,000.
Yep.
That's what you got to live off of, right? Plus Social Security. And that $100,000 isn't paying you.
No, not doing nothing with it.
See, that's what's crazy. That's what's crazy. So, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. And that's what they're doing with their 401ks. It's like, oh, one day I'm going to have this. Well, you could buy for, 20% down, $20,000, you can get $100,000 worth of real estate. And in 20 years, you have it all paid off. In the meantime, you're collecting rent. And in 20 years, your $20,000, which your tenants have paid the mortgage, they're paying utilities, the tenants are paying everything. So your $20,000 investment turned into $100,000 asset that pays you, maybe $10,000 a year in rent forever. You know what I mean? And so that's what's interesting. So you could with 100,000, say you were to store money away and it's used a $260,000 number, you can buy, you can store your $260,000 away. Over that same period of time that you're putting money away for retirement, this is people out there with 401ks, and you're putting your money in the, if you're just saving it or just trying to save it, your $260,000 could potentially buy something like 1.3 million in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And if that 1.3 million in real estate just generated a cap rate, right? Like this is what it's worth, and this is how much it generates every year of like 10%, you could be generating, $130,000 a year in income off of that. So it's like, so would you rather, and this is what's interesting. And a lot of people just don't seem to realize it, but it's those same numbers. You could have, $250,000 in an account that's worth $250, that when you retire, you get you got your lump sum there of $250. Or over that same period of time, you could amass $1 million in real estate that at any point you could liquidate for $1 million, or pull the equity out for $1 million or whatever, and be generating 100,000 a year off of it. So it's just different ways to look at it, I guess. But it's a really powerful, like, real estate investing. The power of compound interest and reinvesting is really awesome. And it helps get you away from, it's also interesting because the government, once you get to a certain point, it's like the government, the way the tax system's set up, it's almost like it rewards you for being really industrious.
Right.
It will punish you for being an employee over time. It gets interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, boy, that was a
long financial rant there.
Yeah, that was.
But it's interesting because, you got to think about that stuff.
Well, that's the thing. People don't think, like, I always wonder that all the time. Like, I just meet different people and think, like, wow, like, these people have never thought about what happens when I can't work one day. Like, I'm trying to do everything I can for passive income. Like, that I don't have to work for.
Right.
And that's what I've been, trying to work on, is figuring that out. All right, let's figure this out. But it's funny. Like, people don't really think about it. Sometime we'll have to do a show. We'll have to do one episode where it will just be like an evergreen on real estate investing, just kind of the ideas of it and what you can do. And just create a single standalone episode like that I can reference back to, just to help people out. Say, hey, this is some ideas. So, and it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't take a lot. So we, let's see, what else do we have? So we had the senators reacted to Kennedy. We have the big overturn, or the big upset. This was in a Democratic primary, New York's 14th district. This longtime representative, Joe Crowley, was defeated by a first-time 28-year-old Alexandria Cortez. This is a story.
And she's a pinko.
She's a pinko, super pinko.
We're interrupting with some breaking news. A political newcomer has pulled off a huge upset in New York's 14th District Democratic primary. The Associated Press reports that first-time candidate Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has beaten Democratic incumbent Joe Crowley. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is on the phone with us now. Hi, Ed. If you will, put into perspective for us just how big of an upset this is.
So does everyone remember back when Eric Cantor lost his primary bid in 2014, the summer of 2014? This is that. This is somebody who was poised to become Speaker of the House one day, failing to shore up the fundamentals back home and losing in an incredible upset. 56-year-old Joe Crowley has served in Congress since 1998. He is the boss of the Queens Democratic Party. He has lost tonight to a 28-year-old who about 9 months ago was running her upstart congressional campaign while working as a waitress in New York City. She is somebody that was so off the grid, the New York Times, the local paper, hadn't even written about her.
Right.
And tonight she has defeated a man who is arguably, was, at least until tonight, a leader in waiting for the Democratic Party. Right now he's head of what's called the House Democratic Caucus, which essentially makes you in charge of knowing everything about all your fellow Democrats. And you're responsible for working on the message, and you're responsible for helping recruit new candidates. Well, clearly, he was more concerned with that, it seems, and was losing touch with his district. And what this signals, Tanya, is that, perhaps, we don't want to call a trend on one race, but this could signal that, you're going to see other Democratic incumbents in different parts of the country lose to similarly young, first-time, and far more liberal opponents in primaries of all sorts this year.
And as you put it, she was off the grid, but she managed to use her off-the-grid status to her advantage. I mean, she really, I have to say, for a first-time candidate, ran a brilliant campaign. I mean, her video
she
went
voted
viral
for her.
as soon as it went out, and I think that she seemed to resonate, at least among the voters of her district, who felt perhaps that Crowley just wasn't spending enough time there in the district.
Yeah. And I think, and frankly, Tanya, to your credit, to CBSN's credit, I think we're one of the few television news outlets of a national scope who spent time with her.
We had her here on CBSN, and frankly, everyone thought, it's an interesting story because she's making some waves, but really nobody thought that she could unseat Joe Crowley. I mean, he had all the endorsements, he had the union endorsements, he had the business.
You still with me?
Yep.
Wow, you hear that?
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm still connected.
What
I
was
can't
that?
figure it out. It's like, it's not rainy outside. It's not cloudy, but that lightning strike, man, that sounded like it just hit right outside the house.
Huh. No, I'm just fascinated by the fact that I was sitting here thinking, this girl was born in 1990.
Right.
I'm like, that's not that long ago.
What life experience does she have to be a representative of the United States?
She was a waitress.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Local business endorsements. Everybody was seemingly endorsing him. So it was an interesting story, but nobody thought she would
maybe
win.
she did it just to get a raise. Like, you're going from making what, $25,000 a year to 180.
Yeah.
Young Spanish socialist running around. Vote for me and I'll give everything away for free.
Hey, she's doing what we told her to do. Get out there and work.
Oh.
Now, wait, hold on, though. Wouldn't the right thing for her to do is once she gets in office, she doesn't need 180 or whatever. We don't know what she actually is going to make, but shouldn't she just be giving that money back to the people around her?
Right.
Think she will?
No, I highly doubt it. I imagine she's going to use this to personally enrich herself and become a multimillionaire while proclaiming she's really for the poor. This is what they do. This is what they do.
And it's telling that somebody like him, who, again, people who paid even remote attention to the future of the Democratic Party know that Joe Crowley was somebody who eagerly was waiting in the wings for the eventual departure of Nancy Pelosi. Under some circumstances later this year, even if Democrats retake control of the House, she might not have enough vote to stay on as Speaker. And Crowley
think he
was
is
to be sort of preparing. And
he's related to Aleister Crowley
in the event that happens.
Oh, that'd be pretty creepy.
He's a 56-year-old Irishman from New York, from a part of Queens, and
56-year-old Irishman. You're not winning. Let's see. So here's a clip of her talking on The View. She's explaining who she is a little bit. This video says self-described democratic socialist can't describe what democratic socialism is.
Well, we've been talking about on the show, I believe there's a fracture in the Democratic Party, and you consider yourself a democratic socialist like Bernie Sanders, correct? Nancy Pelosi was asked about you, and she didn't exactly give you a ringing endorsement. I mean, and you didn't exactly give her a ringing endorsement. Do you think that the future of the Democratic Party is socialism?
Well, first of all, there's this huge difference between socialism and democratic socialism. Democratic socialism, and really what that boils down to me, is the basic belief that I believe that in a moral and wealthy America, in a moral and modern America, no person should be too poor to live in this country. That is what I believe.
Think about that. In a moral and wealthy America, no person should be too poor to live. So what does that mean? Government has to get involved to freeze wages, to freeze rents, to freeze housing prices.
That sounds like immoral stealing to me.
It does.
That's what I believe. And so I think I can understand that there may be some divisions. You know, I don't think people wake up in the morning and say, I'm a capitalist, you know? And so it's funny that when I win, this is a word that's always so thrown around.
Trump wakes up with that exact
Yeah, I mean, he may.
But do you think the future of the party is more Bernie than Nancy?
I think that, you know, I think that for young people, I think the future, here's what I think. I think the future of the party is working class. And I think that what I represent, and perhaps, you know, Senator Sanders, also Senator Warren, there's a lot of working class champions in the Democratic Party. And I do think that that's the future.
But they distort the word socialism.
I didn't know that.
All the time.
Well, I think we should probably say.
Last time I checked, working class people didn't like giving up a section of their paycheck to pay for somebody who wasn't working.
That's yeah, that's what you'd think, right?
Yeah, a little weird.
It is. It's crazy. So, and this is what way they're going to go. The left, the Democratic Party is going to go way left. I mean, it's just what's going to happen.
Well, the thing is, I don't even think, I mean, because you can't call them liberals anymore.
They're beyond liberal.
I think a true liberal, I can have a conversation with, and we can talk about things and reason about things. You can't reason with these pinko commies, man.
No.
These people are crazy. And the funniest thing is they can't even give you a definition of the things that they stand for. Most of these kids out there with their undeveloped brains are out there going on and on about socialism. They don't even know what socialism is.
Yeah.
No, you ask them, it's like, what's socialism? And you know, they can't tell you. They can't tell you what socialism is.
No. Nope. And it's basically how would you, the most simple way of describing socialism? You know, I mean,
socialism is the government controlling the financial, it's the financial it's government control of the people's finance, basically. The government controlling what you can and can't make and what you can and can't do.
It's like it's kind of like the equality of outcome, but it's also, it goes back to kind of your Robin Hood story, like stealing from the rich to give to the poor.
Right.
You know, well, why are you, so you justify the stealing. And that's the whole, you know, well, it's good. You
remember when rich. I guess he still does them, is what's his name? Crowder does those things where he'll post up a sign and it'll be like, whatever, change my mind. Yeah. And he did one that said, I remember watching it. It said, socialism is immoral. Change my mind.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that the argument wasn't that socialism was right or wrong. It was that socialism was immoral, right? Which I thought was interesting, that the angle he took on it, which is a good angle, because there's no example of socialism ever in history where it wasn't some sort of immoral stealing from people who had money to give to people who didn't have money. It's stealing. At the end of the day, socialism is thievery.
Right. Yep, that's what it is. It is. Yeah, and that's what it's just like what we were saying. It's justifying the stealing because you say, well, it came from the rich and I went to the poor, so the stealing's okay. The theft is all right.
Well, that's just like when you hear the pinko commies talking about how the rich need to be taxed at a higher rate. Why?
Yep.
Why? Because they have more money, so they need to. I mean, here's the thing. A lot of people when you just tell them to do the math, like just think about if the way our taxes work, if everybody was taxed at a flat fee, like a flat, let's say 3%. Okay. So somebody who brings in $3 billion a year is going to be paying out a lot of money. Yeah. Like that's what it doesn't, what's 3% of 3 billion?
Doing that. I think it's like, it would be like 90 million.
Right. So what's 3% of somebody that made 26,000?
So 3% of 3 billion is going to be 90 million, and 3% of like 26,000.
Yeah.
Is going to be like $780.
Right.
Yeah, you could, if you just did a flat, like, what's his name? The pizza guy, the Godfather pizza guy.
Oh, Herman.
Herman Cain.
Mm-hmm.
What was his plan? 10-10-10?
Yeah.
Or the 5-5-5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But if you just did even a flat tax of 5%, and you make $100,000 a year, you pay $5,000 flat, no deductions, no nothing, ever.
Mm-hmm.
If you make $1 million a year, you're going to be paying out $50,000 flat, and you don't take all the deductions because that's really the wealthy. Like I was saying before, the tax code is written by senators. Senators are wealthy. So the tax code is written for the wealthy. They're good.
So you got to know how to play it.
You got to know how to play it. And eventually you learn how to play it and you amass wealth, and you'll find that, when you become, a multi-millionaire, especially with real estate, you pay little to no taxes.
Right.
So, and that's whose fault? The government's.
Think about
the
it.
people.
The Democrats always want it to be fair, but they want the rich to pay more. How does that make any sense?
And they're also the super elite. Like they are the super rich.
Right.
So, and that's where it's weird. It's like, okay, what is the whole, when
it's just that lie that they've convinced the average person is that, that they're there to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they haven't, people don't realize, but the Democrats are for the poor.
Using their logic, why does Hillary Clinton need $67 million? Why can't she give that out? I can, I could, if I needed to, I could live on $30,000 a year easily and own a home.
Yep.
So why
does she need that much?
Why don't she just give that out until she gets $30,000? She can live on that. So just distribute it.
How long before this girl becomes super wealthy?
Oh, tomorrow.
I mean, it's just a matter of time, man.
Yep.
So the other big story of the week, last week, major story was where are we here? The shooting. Here we are. The Capitol Gazette shooting in Maryland.
Man accused of the cold-blooded murder of 5 people at the Annapolis Capitol Gazette had a years-long grudge against the newspaper. In 2013, police were notified about threatening tweets sent by Jared Ramos towards the paper, but they determined he was not a threat.
Ramos is charged with the murder and the deaths of Gerald Fishman, Wendy Winters, John McNamara, Rob Hyacin, and Rebecca Smith. Paula Reed is in Annapolis with the very latest. Paula, good morning.
Good morning. Police say the suspect is still not cooperating, but a search of his apartment has revealed new details about exactly how he planned this attack. We're also learning new details about the investigation 5 years ago when he first made threats against the newspaper.
Video shows the moments after police took Jared Ramos into custody. They say the 38-year-old was hiding under a desk in the Capitol Gazette newsroom, where he allegedly opened fire on newspaper employees, killing 5 and wounding 2 more.
There were 2 entrances to the offices in which this attack occurred. The rear door was barricaded. Mr. Ramos then, as I told the judge, entered into the front door and worked his way through the office where he was shooting victims as he walked through the office.
On Friday, Ramos said nothing as a judge ordered him to be held without bond. Thursday's shooting appears to be the end of a long simmering grudge Ramos held against the paper. According to court documents, in 2012, Ramos filed an unsuccessful defamation lawsuit against the paper and a columnist who wrote an article about allegations he harassed and threatened a former high school classmate. As the case moved through the Maryland courts, Ramos wrote on Twitter that he was suing half the county and making corpses of corrupt careers and corporate entities. In 2013, the Anne Arundel Police Department investigated online threats Ramos made against the Capital Gazette. The investigating officer noted in the police report that he did not believe Ramos was a threat to employees at the paper. Ultimately, the paper decided not to press charges because it would be like putting a stick in a beehive. Attorney Brennan McCarthy represented another woman who accused Ramos of stalking her. McCarthy tells CBS the moment he heard about the shooting, he knew it was Ramos.
It was inevitable
that he would eventually
was going
do
to do something violent. The only question was, who would he get first?
President Trump, who has called journalists enemies of the American people, remarked on the shooting.
Journalists, like all Americans, should be free from the fear of being violently attacked while doing their job.
Without journalism,
what a piece of propaganda right there.
Yeah.
I mean, just listen to this message, this subtle message they give you.
Who has called journalists enemies of the American people, remarked on the shooting.
Trump, who just blanketly called every journalist in the country enemies of the American people.
Yep.
Is what they're implying.
Mm-hmm.
Man. And notice something else about this news story.
What's that?
What did they not talk about?
Gun control.
Gun control or the type of gun.
Yeah.
It wasn't AR-15, AR-15, AR-15 because he used a shotgun.
That's Joe Biden's weapon of choice.
That's right. Joe Biden. He took Joe Biden's advice.
Creepy Joe.
Creepy Joe. Creepy Uncle Joe. Getting a little too close. Too close to the kids.
Yeah. Well, here's something I wanted to bring up. And I mentioned this to you. Now, prior, like a week before this shooting, there was an active shooter drill at the Capital Gazette. I sent you the article. It's on their own page right here. Annapolis police to conduct active shooter training at St. Mary's School. Okay, so it wasn't at the news, but either way, they're reporting that there was an active shooter drill. Okay, now there's always these active shooter drills. I don't know if anybody's noticed these yet. What is going on? Why is it that every time we have a shooting, there's always a drill right before it?
And let's see what you had other examples here, right?
I had some, Vegas right here. Vegas mass shooting drill. Mass shooting makes the drill timely. Right before the shooting, there was a drill. They had an active shooting drill. What to do in the situation of an active shooter.
So when was this drill?
I'm
trying to look for a date here.
I think it was a week prior. I remember I read the article the other night whenever I sent it to you. I believe it was a week prior. There's a date on the article. This came out after the shooting.
Yeah, this came out after the shooting. When was that shooting? I can't remember.
End of 2017, I guess.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? But so there's that one. Then pull up the one with Santa Fe. So there was a let's see.
Oh, well, this drill took place after the shooting. This drill took place on a Thursday. The shooting was on a Sunday. So this one took place 5 days after.
There was one before it. It was at a hotel. Maybe it wasn't this one. I might have sent you the wrong one. Either way, I'll pull it up. I'll find it for the next show. But pull up Santa Fe right there. The Santa Fe shooting. Students had active shooter drills. They had done this before. Where are all these shootings coming from? And why is it that they happen after drills?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. I think that's what we need to start questioning. Why do shootings happen after drills?
And what drugs are these shooters on? Now, what is this one right here you sent over?
This was the government documents of the FEMA, the drill. Okay, this is the day of Sandy Hook. See right there, 12/14, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Planning for the needs of children in disasters. This drill was going on at the time of the Sandy Hook debacle.
Huh.
A little strange. It's a FEMA drill. FEMA L, whatever that was. L something, L366. A little strange.
Yeah, what was that? Was it a planning for the needs of children in disasters? Huh.
Oh, it's just weird. Why is there a drill going on the same day?
Yep. Well, this one says it was a class.
Either way, that's a drill. If you ever go to, that's what they do at these classes is they simulate whatever the emergency is. And then this one, the actual emergency is allegedly going down right up their street.
Huh.
Little weird.
And then this one here.
What's this one?
This is on the Daily Beast.
Florida shooter made sick use of school's active shooter drill.
Oh, that's interesting. So the Parkland shooting, whatever procedures in the event. So when So what did he do with this one though? What is it? Was a drill going on?
Let's see.
Oh, he knew the lockdown procedure.
They were doing a lockdown procedure?
He knew what it was because he'd been to all the drills previously. So he trained, he learned from it. So he knew, you know what I mean? He planned around their lockdown procedure.
Right.
So then this case is basically saying that the Parkland shooter, made sick use of their active shooting drills, that he had sat through so many of them that he knew exactly what they were going to do, when they do it, what the procedures would be, etc. And he could just kind of evade it.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Weird. Like if you're gonna do something like that you'd learn, you could take it and learn from it.
Well, David Hogg seems to have profited off of it.
David Hogg did.
He's out there. He got all them chainsaw AR-15 bayonets.
He got them. He collected them. Man, so this is a story I think that's I just think it's a little propaganda. It's on CNN. The Spider-Man's first day on the job at the Paris Fire Brigade.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a guy who's nicknamed Spider-Man after he scaled a building and saved a child dangling from a balcony, which is great. But right here it says a migrant why do you have to say that?
A migrant.
A migrant. If you're not trying to push an agenda. Open your borders, United States, and let them in.
Yeah. This story comes out right as we're talking about kids in cages.
Yep. Well, this migrant escaped the cage and
he climbed up the wall and saved the baby.
He couldn't have saved the baby if he was in a cage.
Yeah, he escaped the cage.
All those migrants are good. Open the floodgates. Yeah.
It is a little weird.
You can't do it. You need borders. You need things shut down. We need our own culture.
Mm-hmm.
We need our own culture.
The American culture.
Now, I had some stuff. Let's jump back this way here. Some of these weird stories.
What is this?
And then I got a question about tires. This one, moving lump in woman's face was a worm. This woman got a parasite. She got bit by a mosquito. And it's a parasite that's a cousin of the tapeworm. And
is that the worm on that one picture there?
Yeah, it's a nematode.
It looks like a dog.
I'm trying to
see the picture.
Oh, D?
Yeah, picture D. You see what I'm saying? There's an ear, floppy ear.
It vaguely looks like a dog with a tongue sticking out.
Yeah,
it does. This nematode, it just gets it was just swimming around under her skin.
How'd it get in there?
A mosquito bite.
Ooh, that's
Look
nasty.
at her lip. It is crazy. Well, this stay out of Russia.
Is that where she got it from?
It said it came from Russia.
Oof.
All right, let's have about this story. Now, this one's kind of interesting because we had another story. There's one here. The Science Centre roof melts on the hottest ever June day in Glasgow in Scotland, and it hit 90 degrees. And the roof tiles are set up with like a weatherproof membrane, and the membrane started oozing out from the sun beating down on it.
Somebody didn't know how to build a roof. It's over 96 today here, and my roof's not melting.
Yeah, when we have like membranes, like rubber membranes on roofs, we do rubber roofs on some buildings here, and our roofs don't melt.
No.
So what is this? Like, what kind of material did they use to put under?
You know what
roof
that
tiles?
looks like? That looks like that black goo from the X-Files.
Oh, what's that?
It's like that alien goo.
Maybe that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So so this story comes out, hottest day ever, melting the roofs off of the buildings. Everyone's gonna die. The bear is even trying to cool off. Brahma the bear is eating ice lollies. That's what it says. Iced lolly to stay cool. The black goo. It's so hot. Everything's hot. The rails are buckling. It's so hot. We just can't do it anymore. It's 90 degrees outside. Everybody's dying. The pets, even the pets, the pets have to stay. The pets need to stay cool, but be careful about swimming because you might have hypothermia. Even though it's warm, the water's still cool.
This story is written like this is the worst thing that could ever happen to Scotland. Meanwhile, down in Galveston, Texas, it's probably 100 degrees outside right now, and people are out just enjoying themselves.
Right. So then let's go to the other.
Wait. What's that? The high temperatures have attracted sun worshippers.
The sun worshippers are coming out.
Wow.
So then let's go across the pond to Canada and Newfoundland, and it's snowing. Right? It's snowing. And they're saying, this is crazy. We don't get snow this late. This is nuts. I look like an idiot. I put my pool up. Why did I put my pool up last weekend? It's too cold. It's snowing. So there you go. Yeah, you couldn't have global warming previously, because it doesn't work. So now it's just climate change. So that way you can throw these stories.
Right.
Hey, you have.
Oh, it's hot. Oh, it's cold.
It's hot and cold.
It's cold.
What's happening? The roofs are melting off the buildings. We're all going to die.
If you think about it, 90 degrees, that's cooler than a shower.
90 degrees.
That's not that bad.
I keep my house at 80 with ceiling fans on.
You live in Georgia.
Right. I live in Georgia. I mean, it's 80 something outside right now. It's been 90 like all week. It's 88. It's almost 90 degrees and it's humid. Man,
it's probably nice out.
They would probably just, I wonder what the Northern Europeans would think of it.
They just die.
They might start.
The sun worshippers might like it though.
The sun worshippers. The sun worshippers. What was that about? Let's just throw that in there. It's kind of like let's just throw whatever in there.
Right. Yeah. Sun worshippers came out because of the heat.
Now, probably this story here, I don't know what, this is partially sympathetic, I guess, trying to invoke sympathy because the sub headline is family is everything. But the headline is gay swans in Austria attacked humans to protect their adopted baby, which was a plastic cup.
See, this is just made up. This is a joke. The gay swans.
The gay.
Born gay swans.
Born gay. Does it say that? Born gay?
No.
That would be the best if the article said born gay swans.
Born gay with a plastic cup. So now I guess like inanimate objects now can be family.
So 2 gay male swans who formed an inseparable bond, and they're protecting their cup. You know what that is? It's a stupid, retarded animal. That's all that is. That's what that is. It's not some love story of gay swans in a cup. It's a dumb animal that doesn't know what it's doing. It's a defect. It's a defect.
It is. Because you got to think, animals, their main thing is to eat and reproduce.
Right.
Like that's what animals do. Well, so that's a defected swan because it's not going to reproduce if it's gay.
That's right. Now look at like just going from what I learned about the goats, and this is always interesting to me. And we have a couple little goats that were sick. I had 2 little baby goats that died past couple weeks because they were just sickly. But the big male goat, when he notices that one of the baby goats is acting sluggish and is slow, he tries to kill it.
Yep.
He starts throwing that thing up in the air and headbutting into the ground, and they sense it. Look at the chickens. When one of the hens is kind of sick, the rooster gives a signal, and all the hens diverge on that sick hen and kill and eat it.
That's like a grizzly bear. I seen where a grizzly bear cub was killed by another grizzly, and so the mother of that cub just came up, ate the cub, and then once they eat the cub and it's gone, like their body can go back into like estrus again, so that they can be bred and reproduce again.
Wow,
they're animals. That's why it says in the Bible we're created in the image of God, not the image of animals.
That's right. These are animals, and these animals are dumb, and they think that the cup is a baby, and they think that they're the one. Each of them think the other is a female, and they're just stupid. And in nature, I mean, if they were, you just leave them alone, eventually they just die off. Their genes don't continue on, and this stops happening over time.
Yep.
Oh. And this is they're arguing for the case of animal homosexuality.
They're literally writing an article talking about it's not known whether the plastic cup will be making the trip with them.
No, whoa, where does it say it?
At the very bottom.
It does say it right there. It's not known whether the plastic cup will be making the trip with them. And how committed these would-be parents are to protecting their unlikely offspring. We at least hope the family finds some well-deserved peace and quiet in their new home. I mean, it's acting like these are humans.
It sounds like it's time for the dinner plate to me.
2 dumb birds. Look at that. That's a beautiful swan.
Big old bird. I bet that thing would be delicious.
You get a nice 20-pound swan.
We're going to have swan for Thanksgiving this year.
I think you can order swan chicks from Tractor Supply.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
You know you can order stuff online now from them?
Does it come shipped, or do you got to go in store and pick it up?
No, they ship it to the post office.
Huh.
And from one of the hatcheries they got to deal with. I'm trying to see what the let's see what they're doing with swans. Price type, product type. Oh, they don't have swans, but they have geese.
$80 for 10 turkeys.
$130 for 10 geese. That seems a little pricey for geese.
Yeah. I'm not buying geese.
That geese look like just a oversized duck.
Yep. And they're mean.
Yeah, I don't know how these prices. I was trying to figure it out a little bit, because like Rhode Island Red, so you get 10 Rhode Island Reds. If you get females, they're 30, so they're $3.50 a chick.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I think it's the same price as in store. So I'm interested
I think that's what they are.
Yeah, the guineas, you can get 10 of them for $55. That's like cheaper than you can find them anywhere.
Yeah. I need to get some of those.
Now, these things are cool looking. Look at that.
Sapphire gem chicken. They're like blue chickens.
Yeah, it's a blue chicken.
That's cool, man.
That's cool. And then I don't know if they have the really cool. There's some cool looking, like these ducks. The ducks that I got, they're all bow-legged. They were niacin deficient. Tractor Supply doesn't put enough niacin in the chick feed. So if you're raising ducks, don't use Tractor Supply chick feed. Bronze turkeys. The lone turkey. What does that mean? Oh, 1 turkey and 9 chickens. That's interesting. I can order the lone turkey. 1 turkey and 9 chickens.
9 chickens. Wow.
Mallard ducks. Rare chickens, Brahma chickens. You can get all sorts of chickens, but there's one in here. There's like these like a black chicken. It's an all black chicken with black flesh.
Wow, really?
Yeah. There's the Cayuga duck. I think that's similar.
Was it that Asian chicken you just passed up there?
I don't think they have them. Swedish ducks. Cayuga ducks. What is that? Australorp chicken. Have you ever seen that thing? That black chicken and it has black meat. There they are.
Wow, that's wild looking.
Look at that chicken. This just looks like a demon.
Wow, that is a demon. That doesn't even look real.
Nope. And they have black meat. I mean, they're black. This chicken is black.
Whoa.
The beak's black. Everything about this chicken is black.
That is cool, man.
Look at that.
What are those?
Look at how that meat comes out.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It is very fascinating. There's inside everything, every bit of that.
Everything of the chicken's black. Inside the mouth, everything.
Even the eggs.
Wow, the eggs are black too. Wow.
What is this chicken? I got to order some of these things. Even the bones are black.
Hold on, right there. This is the, what is that? I am
Samani. That's what we're gonna. How much do you think those things cost?
I bet they're expensive. I bet they're $20 a piece.
Yeah, because where are you ever gonna find them?
I don't know.
Here we go.
Feather Lover Farms.
Straight run. Now is this per? Wow. 1 chick is $40. $40 a chick.
Wow. Oh, but that one doesn't have the black eggs.
Hey, what's up with that? I want
black eggs.
That looks like just a monster though. Look at that thing.
That is a demon chicken, man.
Wow. That'd be pretty cool though.
Yeah.
It's like they say they're the rarest breed, so I'm guessing Tractor Supply does not have those things.
Nope. Sure don't.
So I need to order some chickens or chicks or something. So that was the gay swans. A woman paddleboarded from Cuba to Florida.
Why? How's that news? Don't they do that all the time?
I thought they did. 100
I seen a guy do it in a truck tire.
Oh, that's cool. She did it in 28 hours. Is that pretty good?
I don't know.
Doing like 4 miles an hour.
I would think once you get out there, if you can find those tides, some tide might pull you.
Says it's the first woman to make the trip from Cuba to the Keys on a stand-up paddleboard. So does that mean a man's done it already? Alabama.
What's going on in Alabama? Oh, yeah. The Alabama woman has a 50-pound cyst removed from her ovary.
That is crazy.
That thing is huge.
She had weight gain, pain, unexplained stomach issues for a couple months. Didn't know why.
She gained 50 pounds in a couple months? That's pretty bad.
Yeah. Despite her dieting efforts, she kept getting asked the question no woman wants to hear. Are you pregnant? They even asked her if she was carrying twins. But the pain was so bad, eventually she had to have this thing. And look at that thing, man.
That is huge.
50-pound cyst.
Looks like a watermelon. It looks like doctor's holding a large watermelon.
It does. A watermelon if it looked like a cyst.
That's wild.
Flesh color. I wonder if it would pop.
I'm sure it would.
Like if he dropped it, if he's like, oh, and just dropped it on the floor. What kind of a mess is cyst all over? Cyst juice.
Disgusting.
It'd be bad if it was contagious. Like if you got cyst juice on you, it would grow cysts. The doctor drops it and it just gets them all, and they all start growing cysts.
You should write horror movies.
Yeah, we should make one. Florida
man.
Who's
this guy?
Florida man arrested after failing to pay for his cab ride home from jail. That's a good one. That's one of the best headlines.
I'm leaving jail. I'm heading back to jail.
Leaving jail and has ended up going right back. So
he got 2 free rides.
2 free rides.
One away from jail and 1 to jail.
Wow. So they just arrested him, charged him with petty theft. And they were holding him right back to the Brevard County Jail Complex. Right where he was released from. It's usually Florida. This, let's see. Is this will this play? I want to see if this plays and they talk about it. Oh, is this local news talking about it? I hope.
Right now, the government is trying to figure out what to do with a stockpile of nearly 1.4 billion pounds of cheese. No, really. Now, for cheese lovers, this doesn't sound like a real problem, but it is. This enormous stockpile drives down the price for milk and cheese. Experts say one reason the pile up is that Americans are consuming less dairy. So if it continues, the cheese will keep mounting up. So what does 900,300 cubic yards of cheese look like? It's almost the size of the Capitol building. Imagine that. And it weighs as much as roughly 4,633 blue whales. Enough to give each American more than 4.5 pounds of cheese each. That's a lot of cheese.
That's what they should do. Just give us all 4.5 pounds of cheese.
Yeah. Give us that government cheese.
Socialism and call it a day.
Yeah.
Wow. The cheese stockpile. The lowest stockpile was back in 1918 when there was only 23 million pounds of cheese stockpiled. But it's the high. I didn't know we stockpiled cheese.
Well, you know, government cheese. I mean, they got to feed them somehow, I guess.
Yep, they do. Feed those hill rats. El Chapo wants a tunnel.
Yeah.
He wants to tunnel to court during a trial.
See, now I'm starting to think that this guy might be one of those like lizard people, like that we talked about with the beach.
Yeah.
Because he likes to be underground, it sounds like.
Well, it says he has to be transported across the Brooklyn Bridge via motorcade. And so it's much more convenient. The attorney's arguing it's more convenient to move the case to Manhattan's Southern District. So that way he can just shuffle 200 yards down an underground tunnel that connects that courthouse to the Metropolitan Correctional Center. So you can travel by tunnel.
That's crazy.
So you feel more at home.
Yeah, he's a lizard.
This story. Have you seen this thing?
What is this? The man that worships Trump?
Yeah, this guy worships Trump.
Yeah.
What is up with that guy? What's his name?
He's got a little shrine.
Busa Krishna.
Well, here's the thing. So he's Indian, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Looks very Indian. Well, remember the time that we were getting the IRS scam calls and you were talking to the guy in India and it turned out like we just kept calling him back to the point where he got so mad he said he was going to call the FBI, and we found that wasn't it like his son that was doing the prank calling? He apologized or something.
Yeah, at some point we started having a conversation with him.
Yeah, and then we asked him what he thought of Trump.
Maybe this is him.
He's like, I like Trump. I like Trump. Good for America. Good for America.
So you're saying we created the Trump worshiper?
Maybe that's who we were talking to.
Oh, maybe. Now he's worshiping. He even painted a dot on Trump's forehead in the painting.
Yeah. Gotta have the dot, man.
Gotta have it.
That's how you know what type of Indian. Feather or dot.
What a strange... I mean, who thinks like, I'm going to worship Trump?
I don't know, man. That is weird.
Yeah, it is. So the other... let's see, the last one I had was this guy, Japanese hermit, forced to give up his remote island paradise after nearly 30 years living naked and foraging for food.
Yeah, the government couldn't leave the guy alone.
So he was just alone.
Wait a minute. He has a GoPro on right there. Where did he get that?
Oh, he does.
Was that Photoshop?
A picture of him
really
with a GoPro. That's a
on?
real. That's him with a GoPro. His name is Mr. Nagasaki, and he's lived 30 years on a remote island of Sotobanari. For 30 years, he moved there to escape the hamster wheel of urban life.
I like it. Leave the guy alone.
So what happened?
Wait, does that say he's 82? Is that his age?
Yeah, he's 82. He's been there since he was 52.
Leave that guy alone.
He showed up there in 1989.
Wow. That's pretty wild.
They nicknamed him the Naked Hermit. But there he is, marking
off the days.
Marking off the days. It doesn't look like he's eating too well.
No.
So what did they do? Now, I read another headline that said he was captured.
Yeah, it did say he was captured.
Yeah. Now, it says once a week. He ate at a table made from polystyrene and used a system of buckets to catch rainwater, which he would use to bathe. Once a week, he would put on some clothes and take a boat to a neighboring island where he could buy food and water with the 69 pounds. So it'd be like, I think like $50, something 50, 70, between $50 and $70 sent to him by his family. So his family would send him money. He'd jump on a boat, go to another island, and buy food and water.
He wasn't buying very good food.
No. And he wasn't, I mean, he's buying water, so he's not really like just surviving.
Right.
So he's like what is this? What is the purpose of this story?
Not really sure.
Just interesting, I guess.
He needs to escape there again. People need to just leave him alone.
He should. He should escape there again.
I going back.
I'm going back to my island.
Is that a racist Japanese accent?
It might be. That's a good job.
Oh, well.
These things. Yeah, these chickens. I got to get some chickens. How many do you have?
My house, I got 6. And then over at my parents, we got more than that. Over at the farm over there, there's like a whole bunch of them.
That's what I got. I have 6 hens now, I think, or 7. The one, that thing got attacked. It ripped off. What's the floppy bit on the top called? I forget what that's called. They ate it off of her, and then
really?
I thought they pecked out an eye, and in the back of her neck, you could almost see bone.
Ooh,
it was bad. And she came out.
Brutal chickens.
Yeah. I let her out. I got her out of there. And she's just she'd walk and look with one eye where she's going and kind of circle, make big circles in the yard. And she just lived. This thing has just lived. And I've had different chickens that would get out and you kind of get attached to the ones that escape from that. They start following you around the yard and everything. And then once you get attached, the hawks come and kill them.
Yep.
That's just the way it goes. So I no longer get attached to these things. But that little chicken, she comes out. She'll disappear every once in a while. I think that she's died. She'll go into hiding, and then she'll pop back up. The other day, I looked at her, and it looks like her eye. This is like 6 months ago that it looked like it got pecked out. And now all of a sudden, it looks like it's okay. So, I don't know what's going on.
It grew a new eye.
Maybe. That's what I was almost thinking. It looked like it regenerated an eye. I know that I had 2 white Delawares and then a Dominique and then this one, and they were all kind of out at the same time, and all of them have gotten killed by something. One Delaware got killed by my dog, one got taken by a hawk, and something killed it in the yard. I don't know what got it.
Probably a hawk.
It might have been, but well, I think. Let's see how long's this one been? We've been going on for about an hour and 40 minutes.
Oh, it's a long one.
Yeah. I think it's time to call it a day.
Yeah, I got some mowing to do.
Yeah, I got some cooking to do. Sunday cooking.
Sunday dinner.
Cook for the week. Same thing. This week we're going to do, I bought some Italian sausages, and I'm going to make some Italian sausage sandwiches and make like a garlic infused mayonnaise to put on the bread.
There you go.
And then that Italian sausage, and then cover it in onions and peppers and hot peppers, and then some provolone cheese. I'm excited about that.
Man, sounds good.
It will be
hungry.
Yeah. Well,
oh man. Well,
yeah, this was a good one, and
yeah,
we'll be back. Not sure when, but before the end of the week.
Yeah, we're just kind of doing whenever now.
Yeah, we're trying to just do them whenever we can do them. And like this week, this was, I think, the first time we went more than a week in between.
Yeah, we just had a lot going on.
We weren't planning on. Originally, it was going to be out on Thursday.
Yeah.
But we're going to look for to try to get some more guests. If you want to come on, send us an email, jonesandholmesshow@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter @jonesholmesshow. And until next time,
go out there, shoot them guns, keep using chainsaws.
And quando omni fluncus moritati, everybody.
Take it easy.